Your breakfast to the India. Live pictures coming in from Sriharikota, where they are launching the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, PSLV, and are joined by our correspondent Veera Raghav. Veera, just minutes before the satellite launch vehicle will start.
That's right, Karma. The countdown is virtually begun. It's 3 minutes now left for the launch of the PSLV, which is carrying the Space Module Recovery Experiment SRE-1 and the Cartosat-2, and then a couple of foreign satellites, including Indonesia's first ever satellite. So we did see some Indonesian scientists also coming into ISRO this morning as we were driving by. There's a sense of excitement. Well, the PSLV has proved itself successful. Its first launch in 1993 was a failure, but since then, 8 launches of the PSLV have been completely successful. It's even launched a geostationary satellite. So there is a feeling that the PSLV has proved its versatility. It's one of the flagships of ISRO's success in space research. And today, of course, it would be taking us perhaps a step closer to India's mission to the moon, which is Chandrayaan-1 and then Chandrayaan-2, perhaps, by taking up the Space Module Recovery Experiment, which is basically a space module which will be launched into the 635-kilometer sun-synchronous orbit and then would be guided back to Earth. It's ISRO's first experiment with re-entry technology as such. Other organizations like the DRDO have mastered, have had expertise in re-entry into Earth's atmosphere, but this is ISRO's first experiment. Well, we may not have a man in the moon mission as yet planned, but what this...
4, 3, 2, 1, 0, plus 1, plus 2, plus 3, plus 4, plus 5.
CS1 ignition normal. Ground Apollo ignition normal.
P1 tracking.
So you see the PSLV has been finally launched into space. It's a multi-mission launch to inject 4 satellites into the orbit. The highlight of the mission, of course, being the recoverable satellite called Space Capsule Recovery Experiment that the ISRO is doing for the first time.
And initial reports there, all systems looking normal there. Of course, the PSLV, as Veera told us earlier, will be carrying satellites, 2 belonging to Indonesia and Argentina, and 2 Indian satellites, remote sensing Cartosat-2 and Space Capsule Recovery Experiment, or SRE-1. That's the most significant one. Veera, if you are with us, all systems looking okay right now?
Karma, this is just stage 1, which is the lift-off. The PSLV will be going slowly to stage 2, 3, and 4. It's a 4-stage launch, then into 635-kilometer sun-synchronous orbit to launch the satellites. The first stage of the PSLV, interestingly, Karma, is one of the largest in the world. It's a 138-ton solid propellant stage, which burns it through the PSLV. The entire rocket that you just saw launched weighed over 295 tons, 44 meters tall. It's always a great sight to see the PSLV go up. The sense of exhilaration that you see even among journalists who are watching the launch from where we are standing behind the bushes of the launch pad. You could just see this PSLV go up and disappear. Now slowly into the skies. ISRO will be tracking every move, every second very closely until it reaches the sun-synchronous orbit and launches the satellite vehicles. Karma.
So these are live pictures from Sriharikota, the first phase of the 295-ton PSLV launched successfully, going into stage 2 now, Veera.
That's right. It will slowly go into phase 2, 3, and then 4. The stages 1 and 3 are solid propellants, whereas the other 2 stages are liquid propellant. It has strap-ons, and as I was telling you, it would be launching the 4 satellites, as we've been mentioning through this morning, including Cartosat-2, which is again something that would be used in commercial areas as well for imaging and other things. But the star of the show today is the Space Module Re-Entry Experiment, which the space module that's going up on this PSLV is about 550 kilos in weight. It would be in space for about 3 weeks' time, after which it would be guided back into the Indian shores. That's something that ISRO would be waiting for. Nervous moment still, waiting still closely to see every second, every move, every fractional detail of the PSLV and how the launch goes on slowly. ISRO chief has also been at the command center watching these movements closely.
Right, Veer Raghav, and from what we've been reading, it's the first time that ISRO is using a single rocket to put more than one large satellite into the orbit. They're using something called a dual launch adopter for the first time.
That's right. That's right. A dual launch adopter. It's not necessarily a single satellite. It's just that the payload this time has been much higher. ISRO has launched dual satellites in the past as well, but the payload this time has been much higher. And that's why they're using a dual launch adopter, which they believe would only increase the capability of the PSLV, making it a far more versatile rocket. In fact, as we were speaking to some scientists from ISRO a short while ago, and those who weren't at the command center, and they were saying that the PSLV is really the flagship for ISRO. It's proved its versatility over the years. It's had 8 successful launches. This is the 10th PSLV that's being launched. Only the first launch was unsuccessful, but since then, it's really proved to be a 100% successful machine to launch satellites into space. And it's also considered one of the cheapest launch vehicles in the world, even compared to those launch vehicles in the West.
Veera, the launch has been successful. How long before all the satellites will be launched successfully in space?
It would go by minutes as such. We don't have exact details as to how long it would take. It would take anywhere between 13 to 15 minutes, we're told, but we'll just have to wait for those details. But slowly we would see from ISRO slowly that they would be tracking stage 1, and then it would go into stage 2, 3 and 4. Karma.
Right. Veer Raghav, also tell us a little more about the space capsule recovery experiment, how they have planned to go about it.
That's right. Palki, this is really the star attraction for the day. The space capsule is 550 kilos. What this basically means is that you could put a robot into that space capsule, collect samples from outer space, and then return back home. Because so far, what we've seen is that we've launched satellites in the orbit, but we've not had anything re-entering the Earth's surface from ISRO's point of view. So this is the first experiment that they're doing, and it takes us a step forward to this Chandrayaan-1 mission that we've been speaking about in 2008, which would be to go to the moon. And if we are launching some satellite to the moon, or if we are launching a mission to the moon, it would be imperative to get back samples. So that would be the key, the star attraction for today. The space module would be in space in that sun-synchronous orbit, 635 kilometers from the Earth's surface, for about 3 weeks to about 30 days, and then it would re-enter the Earth's surface, and then it would be collected by the Coast Guard. That would also be an event to be followed very closely. We are expecting it to return back to the Earth some 140 kilometers away from Sriharikota. That's what we are called, into the Bay of Bengal. So that would be an event to follow as well, very closely. Palki.
Right, Veer Raghav, we're counting on you to get us all the details, all the updates from there. For the moment, a successful launch. Thank you very much for joining us with that. Live pictures there coming in.